you very much for your testimony. And Mr. Rowe, I couldn't agree with you more about making jobs here in America and the kind of work that we do. I worked in many factories when I was going through college, and they were good jobs. They were dirty jobs then. I love to go through factories now because they're really high-tech and they're clean and they're good, solid jobs. We should be making it in America. And you're hearing the conversation, which is obviously political, about the Keystone Pipeline, so I think it would probably surprise you if you knew that this House has voted not to make those products, the steel in the pipeline, be made in America or Canada, that they would accept it from other countries, notably China. And I find this very disturbing that we are not making our own stuff. I went looking for a pocketbook one time in New Hampshire. I'm from New Hampshire, and I wanted it made in America, and I went through every single store that there was. Then I went over the border into Maine because they have a lot of the outlets there. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So I wound up ordering it online. And I occasionally report back to people. I had to buy a couch online, and it was a scary thing for me. It was a lot of money, and I bought out of North Carolina, and it was a wonderful, wonderful purchase, but I never even touched it before I bought it. So we shouldn't have to take these extraordinary efforts to have things made in America, and we shouldn't emphasize one over another. So I think you're so right to say that we shouldn't try to steer everybody, regardless of interest, into something else. We should allow them, if they're interested and they want to work in a different way, they should be allowed to. There are many, many people who have college degrees and find out they're miserably unhappy, that what they really want to do, and often they do, is go back and renovate houses and do important work like that. So I thank you for bringing the attention. Now, I just want to bring the attention to that poster. You left out 50% of the workforce there. So I support putting that poster in every guidance counselor's office, but I would like to see women doing both of those jobs.
I only had room for 2 people, and I had to be in half of it. So, you know, we make hard decisions.
But thank you for talking about this and emphasizing this. And then, Ms. McGarvey, I listened very carefully to your testimony. And I've also listened to people who tell me that there are, just in Nebraska alone, several thousand family wells that would be impacted if there were a spill. And I'm sure you're aware of the legal action out there because ranchers and farmers are concerned because there are spills and they do have devastating effects. And I'm concerned about if Americans aren't making the materials and if they're not doing the piping and doing everything, that we might not get the quality that an American worker would give. And I think you're absolutely right about we need to make this in America. Do you know the Democrats have had a Make It in America manufacturing agenda for a long time, and things are balled up here. And I'm sorry about that because there are good jobs for American workers. There should be good jobs. I also listened to you talking about, how I know the unemployment rate is high, but how much would you be helped if we actually had an infrastructure bank that helped to finance? How much work is there to do in retrofitting, like in the Northeast where all the buildings are old? If you didn't get the Keystone Pipeline and you were talking about the solar work, et cetera, what do you see for the future? Everything can't rest just on a pipeline that ultimately won't keep people employed for very long and could actually damage wells and farms and ranches across this country. And the oil, I'm sure you know, goes on the open market. It doesn't even go to Americans. It will be put on the world market. So what else do you see for the future so that you can lower that terrible unemployment rate?
Well, thank you. I too am worried, and the pipeline wouldn't change the unemployment status or bring down the unemployment number a lot in the country. And I worry about a lot of things too. I worry about Putin, and I worry about what's going on in Europe. And I worry about the ranchers and their wells, but like I said, the safest pipeline ever built to man. Since Keystone XL Pipeline's been proposed, I think there's something like 12,000 miles of pipeline that have been safely built and are in operation in the United States. So I have confidence there that it will. Not that accidents don't happen, they happen every day. When it comes to the sourcing of Keystone XL Pipeline, just so you know, 80% of that pipe for Keystone XL Pipeline was manufactured in the United States and Canada under contracts with the United Steelworkers. A lot of people don't know that, but that's the facts. The other 20% was sourced in India, not China. So I think there's opportunities there. When it comes to infrastructure, look, we're all for it. Every business in the United States, and I deal with a lot of CEOs okay? And their interest is having a stable economy, having a regulatory structure that gives certainty to them when they make capital investments, and then gives certainty to me and my contractors that we know how many people to recruit for the job opportunities that are coming through these capital investments. And a long-term, very well-funded infrastructure program would do a tremendous amount to help the unemployment sector, or the unemployment in the construction sector in the United States. Right now, energy is leading the way, and we look forward to continuing to work with Congress. We're working with Senator Warner on his I-Bank proposal. It's got bipartisan support. We're for any infrastructure investment plan that makes sense in the United States, and the compromises that have to be made between Democrats and Republicans, you know, in the lawmaking provisions that have to happen. We're supportive of all those, and yes, they will put a tremendous amount of people to work.
Okay, thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. I'd like to now recognize Representative Tipton from Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McGarvey, really appreciate you pointing out about the amount of steel for the Keystone Pipeline being made in America.